Morning, everybody. And it feels like it's been so long that we haven't had a chance to finally get back to the abode and share with everybody. But it is wonderful, and thanks to all of you that we are once again back online and sharing with everybody. Okay, well, today I'm going to focus more on the questions. I have prepared my thoughts on each of these questions, but I do want to get into something that I think is something that Master is focused on recently. So let me share with all of you what's on my thoughts. First of all, I think Brother Cheng has always shared with us about the idea of self through many of the Xun Fa Xiang, post-Xun Fa Xiang sharings. Brother Cheng had always discussed and brought this idea of selfless, no self, and etc. So I wanted to take this idea and sort of do a brief review and over to this idea. So we're here in Tzu Chi, and a couple of days ago, Master was talking about that we have been mostly selfless, right? All of us, we have been selfless. And selfless, the meaning of selfless is willing to put the needs or wishes of others before one's own. And that's what we've done. You know, that's what we've done. We're in Tzu Chi, and we're willing to put the needs and wishes of others before our own. That is putting others before you, putting the needs of others before you. But there is still you. There is still your needs and wishes. It's just that others go before you. So it seems like there is no self, but there is self. It's just that it goes after everybody else's. So that's selfless. And the next part that we talk about is no self, right? And no self is sort of the next level, right? It talks about impermanence, that there isn't a body, an embodiment of self. There isn't a body, right? So rising and ceasing with cause and conditions. It comes and goes wherever the conditions and causes arise. So the idea of no self is beginning to tell you that it's no longer just selfless. It's no longer just that what you want and what you need go after others. It's beginning to see that there is impermanence and there is only cause and conditions and rising and ceasing. Okay, so the idea is from selfless to no self. What we talked about and was 慈悲喜舍, loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. And how does that work? Well, selfless service to others is using the first two, loving kindness and compassion. You give with loving kindness, you give with compassion, you help, you serve others with loving kindness and compassion. But joy and equanimity, it's about receiving. It's about whatever happens, are you able to remain joyful? Whatever happens, good or bad, are you able to keep this state of mind to be peace? Are you able to let go of whatever the things that are not so good happen to you? Are you able to see the cause and conditions that comes with it? So that's the loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity, right? The four infinite minds. So from selfless to self, to no self, that's what we do. Loving kindness and compassion applies to selfless. Joy and equanimity applies to no self. But what is next? What is next from no self? And this is what Master told us yesterday. Greater self. It's no longer just the absence of self, because you know everything is cause and condition. It's no longer just the idea that that you yourself know that it's all impermanent and whatnot. This is the transformation from emptiness to existence. From this existence of self becoming the wondrous existence of greater self. And what is greater self? It's the same idea, right? It's the same loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. However, it's across the entire time, space, and life. Meaning, you apply loving kindness and compassion across time, from the past, present, and to the future. It's no longer just now, this instant, but it's all the time, right? Your joy and your equanimity is across time to all spaces, whether it's here, your home, or other people's place, or other countries, other spaces. You completely, there's no longer a sense of this is mine or near me, but rather it's across the time, across space, and also across life, not just my life, but all life, all living beings, all sentient beings. So that's greater self. When you are preparing to do loving kindness and compassion, you are thinking about, well, what happens after me? What happens in the future when I'm not here? Would what I do, would what I feel get carried across through time, through space, to all the life? That's greater self. And that goes in line with what Master talks about with paving the road. You're no longer just saying no self. I am not, attached to the sense of what I want to do, but rather, what about others? What about others? What about the earth? What about the needs of the earth? What about the needs of others where they have no chance to get in touch with what I'm in touch with? What if there's no chance of knowing Tzu Chi? What do? You pave the road for others to understand the Bodhisattva path. You pave the road for them to understand. You pave the road for them in the future, in other spaces, in other different lifetimes. You help them to achieve what you have achieved, from selfless to no self. And this is greater self. So this is something that I thought that I wanted to share very briefly from yesterday. There were many talks, Master many talks. I didn't have enough opportunity to put the words and translate them yet, but Master talks about it's not just no self. It's not just selfless, no self, but rather achieving greater self, so that you bring this to all others, so that you no longer just become you, but you become the greater you, meaning you are in unison with all living beings. You're in unison with the earth. You're even in unison with the future, meaning you're paving the road for all others who come after you, who have to learn the same thing, but you're now making it easy and making it accessible for them to learn. And that's greater self. Okay, so I took this very brief time to share the idea of the three selves. And now let's go into the questions. Okay, so today my goal is to get through, 10 questions, so that we could finally, thanks to all the people that post these questions. And it's also a way for us to move forward, because a lot of these questions are actually having the same idea. So let's see, question 83. So this is the 83rd questions from the year 2020. And as we are winding down in the year 2020, we definitely want to get through all the questions. So why is habitual tendencies always being put in a negative light and not positive? Okay, so let me go into this idea of connotation versus denotation. Okay, so this is the different idea, right? So connotation is the use of a word to suggest a different association than its literal meaning, which is known as denotation. So we know denotation is a D, right? Means dictionary, okay? It has a dictionary meaning and it has a suggested meaning, connotation. So for example, there was even an example here, right? This was coming out right out of the wiki. For example, blue is a color, that's denotation, but it's also used to describe a feeling. For example, she's feeling blue, right? So same thing, habitual tendency, it has a connotation and it has a denotation. The connotation, the denotation, we know what it is, and it should be very neutral. Habitual tendency, the denotation of it is neutral. It tells you a meaning, but applying connotation to it, the word is negative because of always of how it's used. And if you put it in our mind, in our six senses, right? The sixth consciousness. It's the same idea. The first five, using your eyes, your ears, your nose, your bodies to touch, your tongue, all of those are denotation. They are signal catchers. They are just feeling. They are just receiving signals. The eyes don't tell you whether you like it or not. It's the sixth and the seventh that apply color to it, right? So same idea. Habitual tendency, the denotation of it tells you the meaning, but the connotation applies how you feel about the word. And why is it negative? Because how it's used, right? It takes time to accumulate the feelings, the word that's associated with it. To a lot of you, Tzu Chi, when you hear it, it's positive. But to many others also, Tzu Chi to them is negative. Why? Because it takes time to accumulate the feelings little by little. And over time, it will build up. And then it will take root in our mind, and it becomes the seventh, the sixth, and the seventh consciousness. So whenever you see the color blue, you might like it or you might dislike it. It's not because the eye tells you to not like it. That's denotation, but it's a connotation, how you feel about it, the sixth and the seventh sets. So over time, it will build up and it takes root in your mind, right? Similarly, if you were to build a positive habitual tendency, using the word and the phrase positively, then it will eventually become positive. So the words can be positive or negative. It really depends on how we use it and how we see it. And most of the time, we use it negatively. However, if we continue to build a positive idea and a positive association with it, then it will eventually become positive. And I think that goes true with all of this, right? If you want to become positive in other people's feelings, that's what you do. You slowly build a positive habitual tendency. People will begin to change their ideas about who you are, and then you will become eventually positive, okay? So next question, 86, question 86. And these are very true. There are others who entice me to join their chanting group, and I start to contemplate if I should do such. If this is normal? Okay, why do I feel that I have found the right master, but the heart can still waver? And I think this is a very good question. Thank you for asking. Thank you for, I'm sure it must gather some courage to ask these questions, and it must be difficult to ask these questions. But let me also be very, very honest with all of you. Same idea. We have the right path and we have the right method. However, these are the three questions you should ask yourself. Does this path and method bring you joy? Does this, what we do here in Tzu Chi, does it bring you joy? Does what you do here, the method, does what you believe in, the path, does it bring you joy? Does what you do here resolve your problems and issues? Does it help you resolve your problems and issues? Does it allow you to help others who are also feeling the same way, that are joyless or they have problems and issues? When we have yes to all three of these questions, then we know, not only do we know that this is the right path, but we're also receiving the benefits from this path, from this method, from this master. So if we're not getting this, if we're not finding joy, if we're not resolving our problems, and if we're not really helping, we're not able to help others. You know, people come to you with their questions, with their problems, and you want to help them, and you tell yourself, I want to, but you can't, then we're not there yet, right? So we're slowly learning so that we begin to have joy while we're doing these services, and we actually help ourselves resolve problems and issues. If yes to all of this, then we are definitely certain, then we're definitely prove ourselves that this is indeed the right path. However, even if you answer yes to all the questions, people still waver. right? Same idea. Same idea. That even if you know as a student what you should do, you study hard, you get good grades, you get good results. But even then, would you still always study hard? You might not. That's people. That's because that's who we are. We're ordinary beings who always have these afflictions. We might know what is right. We might even know how it's going to help us, but we don't do it. We still waver. So even if you get joy out of this path, even if you are able to resolve your problems from this path, even if you're able to help others on this path, you will still waver, sometimes thinking, maybe that's a better path. Maybe that's a better student, a better teacher. So what do I do? So what can we do about this? What can I do about this? And the only answer to you is, in the group of people like what we have right now, we are continuing to be in this cycle, to build our faith, to build our understanding, and taking action and showing proof that this is the true and the right path. And when you have a lot of people doing the same thing, when you have this environment where everybody is following the same path, continue to build this faith and continue to walk the path, taking action and showing proof, you are going to find that you are going to waver less and less and less. But every time on this path that you feel you're not joyous, in fact, you feel that you are upset, you are angry on this path, it takes you back a little bit until you have the faith and understanding of what happened. Then you will move forward again. So people waver usually because there are things that happen on this path. So this is usually how we can build this faith along the way. Remember to build it. It takes time to accumulate. The same thing is true when we're talking about the previous question, which was you have to keep on building it, right? The connotation, positivity comes from continuing to build it. And that is why Master always says, right? From a very small amount, if you begin to build it over time, it will be much, eventually you'll be able to achieve more, okay? So next question, question 87. So this is October 30th, Wisdom at Dawn, the Wisdom at Dawn on Dai TV that was rerun. So what is conditioned Dharma, conditioned phenomena, and unconditioned Dharma? So how to show by giving examples. Still confused despite hearing this very often. And what are they? You know, father, son, grandson. What does that mean? Okay, so let me bring you back to that day. So that day, this is what Master's stanza at the beginning were. So fathers pass on their legacy to sons. This relationship is a conditioned phenomenon. The world honored one passes on the great Dharma to Dharma children. This is the unconditioned Dharma. Okay, so from that day, this is what was Master talked about. Okay, so what does that really mean? Yes, there are a lot of keywords, you know, the unconditioned and conditioned, but there is a parallel that is being a comparison that is being drawn between the worldly fathers and son and the world honored one, that is the great Dharma, the great teacher, and the great father, that is the Buddha, and the Dharma children. Okay, so that's the parallel that is being drawn. The idea that the loving, the part, the legacy, and the relationship between the world fathers and their sons versus the relationship between the Buddha and the Dharma children. Okay, so Master in that day's sermon talk about this. So unconditioned versus conditioned. What does that mean? Unconditioned is something, a condition is something that is based on human nature that can be contaminated. For example, the relationship between the father and the son. Yes, it is supposed to be beautiful. It is supposed to be really, moral. It's supposed to be very correct, but it can be contaminated, can be afflicted. Unconditioned, something that is based on timeless wisdom, that will be unaffected by affliction, that is not affected by affliction. For example, timeless wisdom, being kind to others, that will not be affected by, contaminated by afflictions. So for example, that day, Master talks about the parent, the relationship, the father and the son relationship. Master talks about the father wanting to pass on his business to the son. And there were so many worries about the son. Are they willing to accept? Are they going to get married? Are they going to have children? All this comes from the care of the parent. However, there are afflictions within, because the father, even though or the parents, even though it is very, very much coming from the parental love, but that love itself can be afflicted, because is this done for the benefit of the father, or is it done for the benefit of the son, or is it done for the benefit of the family? This even might not be done in the benefit of the son, of the family, or of the father, or of the kind of humanity, right? So this relationship, even though it is parental, but it is somewhat afflicted. There's a lot of self in there, right? Just like Master always says, loving your own children using the Bodhisattva's heart, right? But loving others using as a mother's heart. Why? Because you want to remove this self. So next. So on the other hand, even though the father and the son's relationship can be afflicted, we can be certain that Buddha's intention to pass on the great Dharma to the Dharma children, right, is indeed very true, very, very genuine, and there is no self. In fact, there's a greater self in it than that. So that's the unconditioned. Unconditioned is not something that you can make. It's not something that we with our humanity, with our power in our hands, we can construct, we can make happen. On the other hand, anything that you can see that is made, fabricated, constructed by humanity, that's conditioned, right? So all these conditioned versus the non-conditioned is tied to the parable of the burning house, where at the end, the Buddha asked, have I done this? Did I do this to tell the children to come out? Did I lie to them? And the answer was no, you didn't lie to them, because it was done for the benefit of the greater humanity, right? So this is tied to the parable of the burning house. I hope that was more clear, because I know I'm going through this very quickly, okay? So question 88, what is the difference between provincial teachings and skillful teachings or skillful means? Are they the same? So the idea of provincial versus skillful, essentially it's the same. It talks about something, same ideas, but they're a little bit different. What are they different? Let's look at them. Provincial means temporary. It means the teachings that we're seeing here are temporary, not final, not absolute. That means it's going to change. It's temporary. That's what provincial means. Provincial means temporary, not permanent. The teachings are for now. Skillful means accordingly. It means the teachings are adaptive to the needs and the situation, and it's not fixated on only one path. So what does that mean? It means one of them, according to time, it's not final. The other one, according to the target audience, it's not final. So both are the same in that it's not final, but the way that it comes out is different. So provincial may or may not be skillful. Skillful may or may not be provincial, but together they have a complete coverage. What does that mean? We know it's temporary, it's not final. And we know it's adaptive and it will change accordingly. And this is Dharma. So provincial plus skillful, it will provide a complete coverage. So I hope this is more clear now, that one of them is temporary, one of them is adaptive. And putting them together, we know it's a temporary and it's an adaptive teaching. and this is Dharma. Okay. So next, I am diligent and have interest in learning Dharma, but the teaching doesn't seem to stick, and that seems scary. How to retain the memory? Can seek advice on retention of the teaching. So I'm going to quickly go through this, but there are two things that I believe that we need to do for the retention of teaching. One, you have to remember it. Two, you have to understand it. Okay, so how do you do this? Number one, how do you remember? Repetition, constant, nonstop. Okay, so this is how you remember. Repetition, constant repetition, nonstop repetition. That is why, if you think that there are things that you will forget, this is what I do, right? When you make your prostration, when you go down to prostrate, you always chant the things that you believe need to be remembered. You always remember, chant these, repeat this all the time, all the time. Whenever you bow, whenever you prostrate, you chant it. Chant the things that you know that you always forget. Repeat, repetition. It will help you remember, and it will help you refocus on the things that you need to retain. So that's first thing is remember. If master says something that you think is very important, write it down and repeat it all the time. Keep on repeating it all the time. This is really good. A Jing aphorism is really good. Repeat it. Repeat it today, before you go to bed, before you shower, before you eat. That's what you say to yourself. Before you make a donation into the bamboo box, repeat it to yourself. Remember to repeat. Constant repetition. Understanding. How do you do this? Understand it your way, okay? It's not just repeating it, but understanding it by applying what you understand. You have to understand it your way. If you're a doctor, understand it using medical terms. If you're a mother, understand it using the way you cook, the way you clean, the way you take care of your children, the way you apply your work, etc. Apply it and that's understanding. And then apply it in your life. And that is very, very, very important. So it's already 7:30, and I want to get to one more question. Okay, one more question. Question 90. Okay, may I ask, as a disciple, to cultivate spiritually? Morning 熏法香, life wisdom, afternoon or evening 晚课. To cultivate spiritually, what are the daily routines I should follow? And this is what I will share with you. There are two things that we should do, right? Training of the mind, practice of the mind. Okay, so that's what we're talking about, right? The question you ask is cultivate spiritually. To cultivate spiritually, you need to first train and then you practice. So how do you do this? Training. Training means you have courses and classes, like your 晚课, your chanting, all of these things. They're training. There are certain set schedules, like every day, every morning, every evening, every afternoon. And these are simulations that allows you to train, allows you to remain peaceful. That's what these set schedules and rituals and ceremonies do for you. They're supposed to train you to understand that what does a peace of mind looks like. How do you get there? Because you keep on chanting and you get there, right? That's what the training does. But what does practice do? The practice actually puts you out on the field and says, now apply what you had learned in the training. So actual practice sessions, like your interaction with your husband, your wives, or your interaction with your children, at work, with your in-laws, with your friends, with people you don't like, that's the actual practice. You have to go through the actual tests and actual challenges. And that's how you're able to train and to practice. And this is a cycle between training of the mind and practice. Keep on training, and then one day you go onto the field and you practice. You practice with real people, you practice with real scenarios, and you realize that's not enough because you couldn't find the peace. Then you go back to train, and then you go back to practice. It's a cycle between training and practice, nonstop, right? And then if you put it together with what we talked about, remembering and understanding, together with what we talked about, retaining the teachings. So now these two things are together, right? Knowing and learning from the teachings, and then training and then practicing. Then you realize it's always shifting. It's always together, right? Remembering and understanding. First, you keep repeating, and then you begin to understanding in your terms. And then that's the part of the training. And then you go into practice. You put it in practice with real people, real scenarios. And then you realize it's not enough. You go back to learn, you go back to remember all the teachings, and you go back to understanding your way, apply it in your life. You keep on going through the training, the rituals, the ceremonies, the morning, chanting, etc. And then you put it into practice. That's what we do. And that's what Master wants us to do, to apply it in our lives and changing our perspectives over time. Okay, so that these are what I thought were my responses, and these are what I do. And I have to say that I'm not 100%, successful, but that's what I'm continuing to do. Constant repetition and nonstop repetition will help you overcome whatever it is that the Dharma will help us overcome. So that's my sharing for today. And we've gone through many questions, which I'm happy about. And so I'm going to hand it over back to Shifu. Before we hand it over, Master Tzu Huang is going to share and add on to this. Hang on, thank you.
好，刚才记那个你的 line 有一个影片，好像是放一下。Hi, good morning, everyone. While Brother Zhou looking for some video clip on his line, and I just simply want to. I'm so keen to try to practice what just now Brother Joe mentioned about how do we retention of a master teaching by retention of keep practicing and training. And I think this is the same for me. Actually, I'm so sorry I don't have a PPT, but actually, due to I just came for my duty just now, and I just want to have a quick short sharing regarding this few days what I heard from Master's morning section teaching. I think from yesterday and today, Master's been mentioned a name which is called a Kyubando. Kambanda demon, which is Masters describe a story regarding in the Buddhist Sutra. So it's regarding this demons, the mother of demons, which is give birth of 1,000 children, and in order to raise her children, 1,000 children, and the mother, the demon of the mother, have to hunt the humans' children to feed her own children instead. So, but when the Buddha know about this happened, and the Buddha is trying to find a way to determine to tame the mother of demons, and the Buddha used his wisdom. He called on the bhikkhus and anandas, go for among the 1,000 children of the mothers of demons and bring me the youngest one, and especially the favorite children that these mothers love for. And after that, when the demon of the mother of demons came home for snatching other children to feed her own children, she wondered why so many of them, her child was missing, and in particular, her favorite youngest child was also gone. So someone told this mother, say that the bhikkhus took your children back to the abode. So the mother kept crying and looking for her children, and when she saw the Buddha and say, where's my children, where are my children, and why did you take my children, and so on, and asking. And the Buddha say, since you have 1,000 children, I think is it okay if you let some of your child to follow Master the Buddha for the to engage in cultivation and so on. But the mother say, no, I can't leave my child, and even single one, and so on. So for this story, do you remember that last couple of weeks ago, I've been shared a short video clip regarding how milk came for in within 40 seconds. So some of you may saw this video clip, but I think I need to show this again and see what is it, the similar description regarding this, the mother of demons and the story of this short video clip. Just have a quick view. Thanks.
No sound.
Okay, that's the end for this video clip. So repeat again, like what the Buddha told to this mother, say, you already have so many children. Well, missing one may take much difference. And the mother say, yes, they really cherish the child that she have. So the Buddha say, if in this case, what about the other children that you hunted the humans being children and to feed your own child? I think it's similar to just now the video clip that's showing that instead we want to feed our baby to raise them out, and by we give your loved one to drink milk from the cows, and but we to raise your own child. I think this is a similar description regarding what the Kumbanda demons and the story. I think this is just from yesterday and today. I just thinking want to share with you guys on this section. And I think sorry to take your time for a couple of minutes. And now I pass back to Sister Xiu. Thank you.
感恩黄师傅 and 感恩 Brother Joe for the very wonderful sharing today. Yeah, indeed, the Huang Shifu, that video, the sharing the Huang Shifu shared with us is very impactful. It's awakened many of our listeners. 感恩 both our great teachers for this training of minds in the early morning. Good morning, brothers and sisters. We are very grateful today to have our brother BroEricSim, a very humble and diligent bodhisattva. He has earlier shared with us, and we heard of his mountains of challenges. It's like mountains, the plains, the Mount Sumeru, all these deep challenges. Yet, Brother Eric, he overcame it one by one because of the right path and the right method that he has learned from masters. Today, we will hear from Brother Eric the story of this power that comes from the greater self, the selfless greater self. Okay, over to Brother BroEricSim. 感恩。
Yeah, morning everyone. Greetings and also Amitofo to all my to my beloved master, as well as also to Brother Huang and also sisters and brothers. I hope that everyone can hear me well. So I shall share my PowerPoint and screen for everyone to see. All right. Okay, can everyone see it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So I shall proceed on. So much so today that early in the morning we really hear the master continue to talk about self and also selfless. I think it's something that really is a very deep thought in my mind, and I believe that everyone also share the same same experience and so situation. So by coincidence also, I'm also actually putting this as part of my sharing, where volunteers in Johor Bahru seizing every opportunity and moments of how to be diligent of following the Bodhisattva path. So allow me to proceed with a video in Chinese, and then I'll continue to explain further about it. All right. So I shall begin.
在马来西亚新山，一位靠贩卖本地水果的独居长者，因糖尿病截肢后伤口久久无法痊愈。慈济志工在接到善心人士的提报后，前往关怀他的健康情况。
看那个政府的去疗啊人不是人很健康，不会贫血。
有糖尿血压高不是？
我42岁就糖尿了，在家不做工，要靠人家帮忙也是很辛苦的。
我们来帮你，你不用担心来。
今年是不好运，
不是不好运，你要讲自己好运就好运，你讲不好它就不好，一直来，好吗？好，讲好的啦。我们今天来给你好运啊，好不好？
因没有将血糖控制好，68岁的张天今年2月间因伤口溃烂而截肢，加上新冠疫情爆发，民众外出受到限制，造成他所经营的水果摊生意入不敷出，而申请成为慈济长期照顾户。
他自己一个人在这边，然后又没有了一边脚，然后那时候还在 MCO， 大家都不能做工，也没有水果好卖，所以他又没有收入，所以都是靠这边附近的他的朋友在帮忙他过生活，所以我就讲我们慈济应该可以帮他了。
你的脚，你没有做运动的话呢，它血液不循环，你的伤口就没这么快好。OK， 等你伤口好的时候哦，它没有肿吗？你现在肿你不能，你的有肿。
因为我血压不是很高，
没有不是，我是说这边你这个地方才肿，你要到没有肿了，它好到很漂亮了，你才可以去量，它可以做血。淀粉类的东西你要很小心吃的哦。我们说小量多餐。
菜是比较好。
啊，多对你去多吃蔬菜，可是你的菜好像你的木薯、番薯、马铃薯、细薯类也不可以吃这样多，因为它是淀粉类。
哦，马铃薯也不可以。
淀粉类是糖啊，如果你吃马铃薯就等于吃饭啊。
在了解爷爷的健康情况后，社区志工与新山慈济园医会的医护人员携手合作，定期为他护理伤口。
但是医生的话要听哦，要吃了才会好，这样你才可以做生意嘛。
截肢后行动大不如前，为了能继续工作，张大叔只好住在水果摊位旁的狭小货柜里。
淋雨剪头发嘞。
志工不止照料他的健康，也安排了5星级意见，让大叔笑开了怀。但因为大叔没有照顾好饮食，腿部溃烂的伤口康复不如预期，原本的笑容很快就一扫而空。
你要不能够再去弄它了，知道吗？你看这死皮本来很好的了咯，现在又到这样。你敢参与？
不要到几到位。
你如果不，
是啊，如果我不弄它，要多几
你不弄它，然后你跟师姐去clinic洗，1个礼拜洗2、3次，你一定要吃你的药，还有那个维他命，就很快好了，1个礼拜就好了。
假如是2个礼拜不好，我要去看医生了。
这是我第4次见到他的伤口，可是伤口不是很满意啦，因为他血糖也是控制的不好啦，他伤口有点坏死皮，所以我们有解释给他听要怎么样照顾自己的饮食。我希望我们增加吃素，而且他又配合控制饮食，我们就希望伤口很快好了，不然就有很多复杂病。
为了帮爱吃甜食的大叔控制好血糖，师姐们使出看家本领，每天为大叔准备健康早餐。
在饮食这方面，他还是跟着自己的习惯吃咯，然后他会吃很多很甜的东西，他不知道说这一个糖分对他造成的这个影响。那我本身就是期待把他当成好像爸爸一样这样子，关心他啦。我在外没有人关心，的确是感觉很孤单的啦。那我们住附近的有路过这样子，顺便关怀一下这样子。他开始的时候，他的饮食都不能够控制嘛，那一大早就喝很多甜的东西，感觉上对他的健康不好，然后伤口也很难好啦。
贴心的志工也从家里带来热水，以备大叔的不时之需。
之前就每天都有动啊，然后现在昂哥也是口水啊，就大概是2、3天我就来一次。因为他住在这边是之前是完全没有水啊，没有电那些的啦，然后
那个秋婷老师就问我可不可以之前是每天带水来给他啦，至少装那个烧水来给他。所以我是觉得张婆婆是有需要啦，所以我就 OK 了，我就每天送水过来给他咯。就觉得很像是每次来看安哥，然后拿水给他，跟他聊聊天这样子哦，我自己也是觉得很开心这样子啦。然后安哥的人也是很好哦，他反而也是会很像关心你怎样吃了没有那些都反而是很像安哥更加在关心我这样子啦。
睡了，睡。
你看一下，看一下。
睡。成功了，恭喜你。干了。我都讲我没有问题啊。
今天看到伤口复原的很不错，我也很高兴所以祝福他早日恢复健康咯。
那你对志工的帮忙你觉得满意吗？
满意，还有林老师帮我很多忙，对不对？我不知道要怎样感谢他，不要收钱他又不肯，帮到我很多还有给我钱拿给我吃对
他拿什么给你吃？
我记得我忘不了的对吗？
林老师拿什么给你吃？
拿斋粥给我吃我跟他讲我不吃饭了，要吃粥，因为吃粥比较容易吃饭难吃。要谢谢师傅帮我很大的忙，谢谢Tzu Chi公司帮忙我很大的忙，很感谢他们帮我洗脚，要送东西给他们吃，他们讲不要。
你还有什么需要被帮助的吗？
不需要啦，我现在很好过了。
不止不收半毛钱，志工还临时客串，帮张大叔卖起了水果。
可能他感动于我们就是这样子，大家来这样关怀他，有这一份的爱，他有看到他的改变至少讲话比较温和啦，态度上有改变当然是很期待他就是能够改变饮食，照顾好自己的健康。
慈济志工的爱心陪伴，犹如无形的拐杖，搀扶着张大叔一步步跨越康复路上的重重考验。大爱新闻郑尚美志工马来西亚线上报道。
Okay, thank you for everyone for watching the video. Back to my presentation. So, Mr. Chong Tiam, at the age of 67, basically he's suffering from diabetes and also just got his leg amputated only beginning of this year. And of course, living alone in the hut and away from the family. In fact, is basically the family abandoned him and he had no choice but to stay in the hut. And medically, of course, he faces with wound infection and also poorly manage his health condition by not taking medicine. So as a result, health is actually deteriorating. Livelihood, obviously, that during MCO time, he really had a very, very hard time because difficulty in selling fruits at a small little store and run into financial difficulties. So most of the time is always supported by neighborhood residents, which is actually helping to buy fruits from him, giving him some support and so on. And obviously, Tima actually in Johor Bahru took up the case sometime around 3 months, which is sometime around May, and then subsequently we ended the cases in August, which then continue on by welfare volunteers. So all in all, between Tima and Tsusan welfare volunteers, we continue to give him lots of support. Even during the time May and until very today, we still go back and actually try to love and care for him. As character-wise, you can see in the video itself, I'm sure most of you already can feel Mr. Chong Tiam is a very hot-tempered guy and constantly cursing and swearing, in a very unpleasant kind of situation that to me is, in Mandarin, we really call it koye lah. Although that the family have actually abandoned him, but I think that he should actually look forward rather than actually having so much of deep grievances. So volunteers actually constantly, patiently listen to him, to his grievances and try to understand what exactly he needs, so that we can really help him in the best way that we can. As you can see, doctors even come forward and with senior volunteers to personally persuade him, to keep him calm, and also to get him to understand that he got to look forward. He got to step forward and actually have the faith to live on, and rather than to to be clouded by his current living problem. And I'm sure most of you have seen in the video already. This is the first biggest worrisome thing that we ever had is, as you can see, this is actually the hut that we were talking about. It's actually standing at the edge in the big drain. And first thing first is actually to stabilize his condition and to ensure that there's no, the hut don't collapse, And secondly, is actually to make sure that there's actually some form of, at least some form of electricity or even some form of water, so that water supply, so that he can actually continue on to live in the hut. I think that stabilizing his living condition is actually one of the priority that we need to do, and ensuring that the hut is actually in a good condition, stable condition. And of course, at the same time, in order to do a quick, I'll say, turnaround of his current condition, TIMA and also volunteers, and at the same time also working with government polyclinics nearby. We try to work it rotating round with increasing number of scheduled visits in a week, and also to ensure that his conditions will stabilize and also to turn around and under control. And basically, you really can see these are all instant and self automatic kind of situation where volunteers and doctors and also medical staff showing the power of their the great love of what they put into practice and action. Even despite rain or sunshine, we still continue on with what we are scheduling and how the way we put things together. And you can see the spirit of working together in terms of unity and harmony, just do it, kind of situation. And really we focus very much on ensuring that what is actually right and also meant well for him, we shall do it. You can see even volunteers, while nurses is actually cleaning the wound, everybody got to hold hands in order to take turns to put up the umbrella so that we can shelter him. This also gives us a very deep thought. Every time when he's in the hut, and especially it's raining, automatically you'll find that someone will get up from the bed, and even late nights will drive all the way to see him at the hut, to make sure that Mr. Chongtem is actually in good care and condition. I don't know, somehow that this automatically really triggers all of us to give him that kind of love and care so much. Even at times there's so much of difficulty, especially when it's heavy thunderstorm. So we got to push him to the nearest shop lot and actually continue to do wound dressing. I can see how the nurses really bend down on their knees in order to talk to him, in a very sincere way, to really show our heartfelt care and concern, and try to really achieve that kind of selfless thought that we can actually share with him. And basically, we really hope that he calm down, turn around how the way he feel about things, and end of the day, then hopefully that things gradually start to get better. And in fact, that really we start to see him turning around, getting better. So this, and obviously this is actually one of the very worst situation. Constantly, nurses and volunteers try to remind him, nag him. There's so much about medicine taking, and you can see constantly he frown about it, and he will try to turn away from this situation and actually try to attract our attention to something else. But constantly we were very persistent in order to try to make sure that he will constantly take his medicine and actually improve in his situation. So the positive strength indeed have actually shown so much so that we are determined to turn him around or change his way of thinking. As you can see, some of the volunteer which is not involved into medical care, we somehow then come up with other, despite difficult condition, we actually come up with also other ways of means also to take care of him. in terms of everyone balancing our strength and capabilities in order to help him. So one of the things is routine hair cutting, and even every one of us will cheer him up by talking to him and discussing to him and actually make him feel happy and relaxed. As you can see in the earlier video, especially I really have to praise Sister Chu Ting, being a senior volunteer and also a role model, showing the kind of deep concern and also how the way he treats Chong Tiam like her own father in terms of preparing nourishing food. There's also one more person that actually did not show, which is Teacher Lim, that just now Grandpa Chong Tiam did mention, emphasize a lot. Basically, every day they actually cook food for him, vegetarian food, and also how the way they encourage him in order to move forward. So you can see the cultivation of every single small step, and steadily we see him progressing day by day, and even how the nurses also start to put the effort of influencing physiotherapists to join in the crowd. Basically you can see Mr. Brother Chua, okay, which actually then come forward in order to help him to be mindful, to change his thought of be mindful and put things into action. That means basically it's actually to get him to stand up and actually start, helping himself, rather than to sit down and actually have so much of grievances. Which eventually Brother Chua is also now attending the new volunteer training, despite having already number of years in TIMA. In fact, it was such a great comment last week when I heard from him. He was explaining, Brother Chua, being a physiotherapist, was explaining that he now realized that being a TIMA volunteer and being a new volunteer, being a new volunteer or a missionary volunteer in Tzu Chi is such a great difference. So as you can see, this is actually one step further that we even make every great efforts that every single volunteer take turns to pay attention to him, giving him the opportunity to let him express his grievances. Especially every visit, you will start to see, or you actually witness that Grandpa Chong Tiam actually have a lot of grievances and his mood swing and change. So we constantly paying attention to him in terms of understanding him being a sufferer and also all his sufferings, and how actually we seize the right moment in order to change him and also make that great differences. What we see is that all in all of us put things together, and without even thinking twice, that this is what we have learned in terms of also developing the wisdom in ourselves, and what are the type of sincerity that we have put on, that we believe that what we have learned basically from volunteerism, and this actually also the type of good deeds have given us the wisdom of lifetime, and continue to do good karma that actually bring us all together, not only to the sufferer but also really understanding so much so that good karma can really bring great things to us as well. And finally, you can see all the good things that have actually done, that have actually in terms of the strength and determination that have actually overcome Chong Tiam's affliction, in terms of his putting away from his self way of view, his defiant views, his anger, stubbornness, hatred, and many more things that actually goes beyond that. And of course, the big lesson which is learned, especially for Tima, is beyond medicine. It's not really only talking about medicine, but it's really truly talking about the Buddha Dharma spirit of loving, caring, and also building that trust. Right? So basically, this is what we learn in terms of being diligence and determination, and in terms of right efforts, that we believe that learning the Dharma and continue in that process itself, practicing the six perfection, is something encompassing patience and forbearance in terms of the three dimension. Like what I say, understanding the personal hardship and what actually the sufferer and sufferings, and also how actually in terms of the difficult circumstances and the emotional stress, And at the same time also in terms of learning about patience, how we really truly understand about him. And of course, we resist being volunteer, we resist this without actually having ourselves being angry and also hate, and actually constantly change our mind to continue to remain kind, loving, and gentle. And finally, building that confidence ourselves, putting ourselves in that confidence that it ultimately brings the truth of understanding in terms of sufferer and suffering. I think the Four Noble Path being the very basic things that we have been walking in the Bodhisattva path, that we strongly have been learning in terms of putting things into the right effort of doing things. And as you can see, the trust and confidence and also the building of the good deeds, how we have actually given him, at the end of the day, is a rewarding outcome. And finally, putting him into walking the same as us into the Bodhisattva path, in the same situation. So constantly, we still have people going around in order to, put life of wisdom videos and sharing with him about master's thought and how the way things is. I think this is actually something very wonderful, and also encouraging him to continue to understand the Bodhisattva path and Bodhisattva way of learning. So this is something really that this photo really have given something really of a great thought, and and a lot of satisfaction in terms of selfless giving. And finally, I end my session. This is also one of the things that during my sharing in the new volunteers training, especially to the volunteers, is actually expounding what Master have constantly been saying: faith, vow, and action. We need to really have faith into things that we do, and at the same time, if we don't make vow, we can't put things into practice. You will never see the action coming, and at the same time, how things is actually going to be more rewarding. And of course, ultimately, finding the wisdom that balance up with our body and mind. So thank you very much, and deep gratitude to and thankful to our dear Master in learning the great Dharma that have been passed on to us. So thank you very much. This is where I end my sharing. I pass back to Sister Tzu Chi.
Good morning to everyone and Brother Eric.
Yes, Master.
Thank you so much for your effort and your teams in putting the effort to the Ganhu. And then utmost gratitude that you all really take actions and making vows to keep practicing Bodhisattva path. And then even now it's still MOC is keep continuing. And then in they still have the another COVID-19 attendant now at this time. So we need to keep wearing masks and then keep washing, and then the hygiene have to be take care more oftenly, and then keep continuous to tell everybody have to practice this hygiene, protect ourselves and then the others. And then very grateful that you all have been diligent and determinations in the right efforts that Brother Eric is sharing, and then keep continuing repetitions that the right ways that what is good for us and the right karma, and then keep practice the good karma in our daily life. I'm so grateful that our Gananhu Chongtiam they have been received so many love from your teams in the areas, and then the Hulisi, the what they call is taking effort in take care of them, and then teaching every volunteer also practicing the right way, and then how to take care of the needed, and then in life that bring the sufferings
out of the Chongtian life. And then very good that finally the suffering is ended. And then he find out that our Tzu Chi volunteer is very lovely, and then can keep doing some at home, can doing the recycling things that all the friends, his friends can join our Tzu Chi if possible. We can take effort in this way because everyone have the good heart to help others. So we may take action in this way to ask a lot of people to join us so that our areas of our homestay can be more harmony, and then our vision and missions also can complete it more at once, extra miles that we are doing it. And then I'm very grateful that heard that you all is doing very well in your areas, and then grateful that you all really close to our master heart. And then we still, because you are doing very good, then we also have the motivation to keep moving, and we all have to be more powerful, and then more practice our Dharma Buddhist Sattva path. And then we will keep continuing to back up you all, because now is a difficult time for us in our daily. So my sharing is until here, and then thank you very much for sharing your listening and giving to Sister Xiu Jin.
感恩师父，
感恩的黄师傅、德子师傅、Brother Joe, Brother Eric for today very powerful and very wonderful session, and very grateful to all the brothers and sisters worldwide for your presence and your great support. Today, indeed, we are very blessed because after this session, our two bilingual master, they will share in Cantonese, in the Cantonese Dharma, who can join. And after that, at 11 o'clock, we have another vegetarianism talk organized by the Malaysian vegetarian. Maybe we can, here can highlight a bit on January 2nd, we will have a renowned world speaker, Dr. Bill Turtle. We will share broadcast later. He's very passionate in promoting vegan and vegetarianism. We're very much delighted and humbled that he will be sharing. He spoke on talking about this peaceful eating. It's one of the Amazon used to be the top seller, and I'm very grateful this doctor will be sharing on keep your diary open for that date, 2nd of January. Powerful speaker, renowned worldwide. Okay, thank you everyone.